Hey, this is Jason Mott. If you want your baseball news, listen to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer with JJ and Vince.
Hey, welcome to One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer. JJ, this is so cool because as you can see, I got my window, I got the shades open, and it's still sunny outside.
Right. Good Lord. Yes.
I love it. I absolutely love. I What have we had daylight savings time for?
Saturday night into Sunday.
Okay, I've already cooked two meals on the deck, so it's like I got extra night or daytime. I'm gonna get this
We get
done.
energy. I think the sunlight gives us energy and hope or something. I just wanted to hibernate before that.
Yeah, I had a professor who had that seasonal
Seasonal.
depression thing, and he would have to be in his office with a special lamp on that was very dim. It was just kind of, and you'd walk in and you'd say, "I got this," you know. So, and
Yeah.
so no, I'm not going to turn the light on, but apparently that affected his mood to have a big light on. So, uh, so anyway, those of you who are watching us on Facebook, nobody watches Facebook. On YouTube. If you're watching the YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button so you can have our content as soon as it drops. And please give us likes, give us shares, because all that helps to build our brand. And we've been doing this for about 2.5 years, and we really haven't made a tremendous effort to build the brand. Um, so if you'd like to help us in doing that, because we're too lazy to do it ourselves, like it and share it, and we are very appreciative. If you would like to contact us, you can go to one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com, and you can leave us any comments, ask us any questions that you would want. And usually about every third day, I check the email. So if I don't get back to you really quick, you'll understand that I will eventually get back to you. If you would like to be a contestant in one of our I shouldn't say trivia contest because I don't know if we're going to be having any of those anymore.
Well,
Max used to do the trivia contest and did the super
great.
time, making it high tech and everything, but he works every Tuesday night, so we can't do that. But if you'd like to be a guest on our show, we do have a panel coming up in 2 weeks. And if you would like to be a guest on our panel, it's kind of the pre-baseball season panel where we're just going to discuss the off season and how we think the season's going to go. Uh, get a hold of JJ, get a hold of me, email us, send us the DM, somehow get a hold of us, say, hey man, I think I'd like to be a guest on the show. We would really appreciate it. If you would like to be a singular guest, if you have some kind of a baseball knowledge, some kind of a specialty thing, let us know. We would like to have you as a guest, and we can talk to you for 20, 30 minutes and learn new things. So
Yeah.
um anything else as far as housekeeping? I think I about covered everything. So that's our show today. Bye bye. We should do that for a
That was
show.
quick.
How to get a hold of us. Bye. Oh, so JJ, how are you doing?
Hey, doing good, Vince. Watched a couple things. I'm going to recommend to everybody, especially you, if you haven't seen it. Good friend of ours, Tony Pruno. I saw him over the weekend, last weekend, I believe it was, and he gave me something to watch. It's put out by ESPN, and it's called The Bronx is Burning.
I
And
watched
it's
that 20 years ago.
I had never seen it. Of course, the three main characters, Reggie Jackson, Billy Martin, and George Steinbrenner, we lived through the 77 season, and I like it's cheesy, and you can tell that's not Billy Martin, that's not Reggie Jackson. But the guy who played Thurman Munson had him down pat. Uh,
He was
Shooter
dead
McGavin,
on.
a dead on, and Shooter McGavin is Joe DiMaggio in it. That kind of threw me. Hey, there's Shooter McGavin. Well, he was Joe DiMaggio. And you get a peek, and I don't know how realistic this is behind the scenes of these three very complicated people and the Yankees. And they seemed like they just couldn't help themselves. They were always in each other's way, and it would about boil up, and then it might be Martin and Jackson versus Steinbrenner, or Martin and Steinbrenner versus Jackson. It was something else. So I enjoyed it. And Vince, did you like it when you seen it?
I remember I was entertained. It was it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't a masterpiece or anything, but it was yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Pretty.
That just made me think the 10 World Series champions in the 70s, five of those years were dysfunctional teams. 72, 73, 74, Oakland was dysfunctional. They hated each other, but the only thing that bonded them is they hated Charlie Finley even more than each other. And then the Yankees, that was 77 and 78. That was just a mess.
That was a
And
mess.
five of the World Series champions were not what you would think of as a cohesive team. So
True.
sometimes team chemistry can be a little overrated. Um,
Winning fixes everything, I guess. Even if you and somebody don't get along, if you're winning, at least you respect them and you go out there. Yeah, I want to believe everybody gets along, but it's tough for 26 people all to get along in harmony, you know. I maybe a little hostility is good for a 6 month season, you know. Maybe you go out there, I'll show you or something like that, you know. Maybe.
yeah, and that Jackson Munson, they were just so different. Jackson had the flair and
Yes.
loved the limelight, and Munson was just a lunch pail kind of player.
Family man.
Yeah, just two different human beings.
Oh yes. And the other thing I have to recommend, Vince, is I'm a Marvel fan. Disney has the first two episodes of the new Daredevil. This is the first Daredevil series done by Disney. Before it was on Netflix for 3 seasons, and I saw the first two. And I tell you what, if you're a Marvel fan, Daredevil fan, it's a must. This is very good. I don't know where it's going, but it's going to be a really good story. The dark Hell's Kitchen, New York, lawyer, dirty cops, dirty politicians. It's pretty good so far. So I recommend that too if you get a chance.
Better than the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Yes, although I kind of like that one okay, but this is much much better, much much better. I like the villain, the Bullseye guy in the Ben Affleck one. He was pretty good at that character.
Hmm.
Colin
Oh,
Colin something. The I think he's Australian or something. Colin, I can't remember his name. He's the Penguin. He's the Penguin. Uh, in the new Penguin series.
oh, okay.
Yeah, he's that guy. Anyways, very good actor, and he did a good job in that. Sorry, I got on a tangent.
That's all we do is get on tangent.
That's true. Amen.
Speaking of tangents, one of the universities that I have a degree from, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, has made it to their very first NCAA tournament.
All right. What's the mascot for that school?
The Cougars.
The Cougars. Oh, that'd be good. Well, I'll
And
be rooting for them.
yeah, there's actually two Southern Illinois universities. The one in Carbondale, which is just called Southern Illinois University, they're the Salukis. They're in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Okay.
And Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville is in the Ohio Valley Conference. And I think they've been Division One for maybe about 10 years. They weren't when I went there. But I in that conference, Ohio Valley Conference, when you're dealing with teams in like Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and you know, Murray State, Western Kentucky, all those places, um, SIU Edwardsville should thrive in that conference now that they've got their footing because they're the only team that really has a huge city to recruit from. And one of their best player, he's a senior, a Rayshawn Taylor, who played his high school basketball in Collinsville, which is only 10 minutes away from Edwardsville. He actually chose SIU Edwardsville so his family can come and watch him play all the time. And yeah, he may play overseas. He's certainly not NBA material, but he is the best player on that team. And it's pretty cool. Now they're probably going to get trounced in the first game. But I think that's pretty cool because when I
I do
went,
too.
they were just Division Two, and who cared? So
Yeah. Outstanding. Hey, sometimes it's a good Cinderella story out there, Vince. You never know.
yeah. Yeah, the other two institutions I went to, they will never go to the NCAA tournament. Hannibal LaGrange University, which is like NAIA and has like 1,000 students. I don't know. And the other is Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, which has absolutely no sports programs. So, oh, uh, well, Garrett Cole has screwed up the Yankees.
Have you ever felt sorry for the Yankees, Vince?
Nope, and I don't
No.
yet.
Well, I was thinking of that. They had so many injuries, and I don't know. And Garrett Cole last year he was hurt. This year he's going to have that Tommy John surgery, and and then Lewis Gile, I think it was Rookie of the Year even, and man, that's two big blows to that team. So we'll see what happens. The Yankees ain't running with no pennies. They'll go out and get somebody, but that's going to definitely hurt them a little bit.
Let me ask you this, okay?
Yeah.
Would you rather have a short career where you just aired it out for 6 innings and had to go through one or two Tommy John surgeries? So you had like an 8 year window where you were good. Maybe you had like a 13 year career, but there were just seasons where you missed because of Tommy John surgery. And finally, you aren't just, by the time you were 34, you couldn't keep up anymore. So you were out of the game. Would you rather have that kind of career where you're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars? Or would you rather kind of try to be more of a pitcher instead of a flamethrower, pace yourself, have maybe a 15-year career where you were very good for maybe 12, 13 of those years. Not great, but very good. But you played consistently, made a little bit less money, probably. I don't know. I'm thinking of this from the perspective of a 58-year-old person who's lived life. I don't know if I would want to buy into for my own career. I don't know if I'd want to buy into air it out, air it out, air it out till your arm blows out, take a year off, do it again. I mean, there are guys that are on their third Tommy John surgery, and that's that you're out for a season when you have Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There,
I
there's those phenoms that come out too, like Dwight Gooden's one of those phenoms, and Fernando Valenzuela. And then they stuck around longer and they weren't nearly as good. Adam Wainwright was a flamethrower when he was young, got hurt, and then he had to learn to pitch. Um, I'll be honest with you, Vince. I'd probably want to stick around as usually the guys that stick around a long time later become coaches or announcers or something like that. I, as a guy that just loves the game, I'd probably just want to stick around as long as I could. If I always had an opportunity to win 12 games, 13, you can win. I've seen a lot of these pitching staffs where teams have won World Series. If you've got five guys that win and go 6 innings, win you 13 games each, 11 to 14 games, you can be there at the end of the year. So, I mean, it's always nice to have that stopper, but they seem to get hurt, Vince. There's very few of them that go for a long time. I mean, Nolan Ryan's just a freak of nature. That guy's on another level over there. But those guys, Greg Maddux seemed to be the perfect blend of a guy who could just pitch. He could throw a fastball past you if he needed to. I think we need to get back to that where the fastball's a weapon, not you're just going to sit there and just try to, throw it by everybody. If you have it as part of your arsenal, like Paul Skeens does or Maddox did. I'm not putting Paul Skeens and Maddox's level, not right now, but he does seem like he's got weapons. He can hit the corners and up and down, in and out, changing the speeds. I think that's where it's at. And there'll always be a room for pitchers like that. I'm trying to think of a Cardinal, like a Bob Forsch. Bob Forsch was a kind of guy like that, had a long career, legend Cardinal, and he's into a lot of those long-time stats and everything like that. So, I take the long career over the short, great career,
Yeah, I would too. I'd make a little bit less money, but I just want to be around the game more. And I wouldn't want a short career where I spent a couple years rehabbing,
Yeah.
recovering from surgery. I don't know,
I'm
just
with you. I'm with you, Vince.
something to chew on. Uh, Dave Roberts signed a 4-year extension, and his annual salary is surpassing the record for a manager, which was up until then held by Greg Counsell of the Cubs. So Dave Roberts will be getting more than 8 million a season. I haven't heard the final number, but I have read that it's going to be the highest paid manager. He's going to be it. He's going to be the highest paid manager. So there wasn't much that went on in baseball this week.
I found a lot of cute little stories. There's one, Vince, have you ever played fantasy football? Had a team and you play in a league or anything like that?
See, no, I played fantasy baseball
Me too.
for a few seasons, but I I was more interested in the players' performance than I was the team's winning. And I did not like that. I had become, oh, I got to see what Mike Trout's doing. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't care very much about the teams I cared about. I was more interested in the players. So I thought, I'm just going to back off that. Um,
You can set it up any way you like it. I try to keep it simple. We played for, oh my gosh, from 96 to 2000 till the COVID, till about 2018. But you can set it up anyway. We try to keep it simple where roster moves and everything. But this is why I'm bringing this up. Uh, Evidently, a lot of teams have fantasy football teams. They draft their team. The draft's fun. You sit around in a room, and the draft snakes. It goes from one guy all the way down to one. Then the guy has another pick, and it goes all the way back down. Well, evidently, the Toronto Blue Jays had a football league, and usually the team that finishes as last, there's a punishment. You have to do something. I've been to open mics where the loser of the football thing has to go up and do 5 minutes in front of strangers. First time they ever do, comedy. But but Toronto, this is what they did, Vince. The loser, which was, you remember the pitcher Chris Bassett?
yeah,
Yeah,
a good pitcher.
very fair. Well, he finished last place. His team was 4-10. He had to wear a uniform that had his number was 4/10, and he had to be the bat boy for the day, a $21 million pitcher, and he had to go out and pick up the bats, and they made him bring him water and stuff, and you would just see Chris Bassett running out there with 410 on it, and everybody's laughing and having a good time. I think that's great, especially spring training. That's fantastic. I know the Cardinals have a big fantasy football team. I know Wainwright was running it for a long time. I don't know if he's got the time to play anymore, but they'd all get together and they'd have a night, usually on a day off, and draft their teams and just put it in a computer and then have a good time. So anyway, I thought I'd throw that story out there because I just found that charming that Chris Bassett was a bat boy. I think it was yesterday.
So I just know that Tommy Pham usually wins.
Yeah, he better win.
Yeah, better win, yeah. So he takes it seriously.
Very serious.
Oh, the only transaction that had a little bit of name recognition, Dylan Tate signed a 1-year contract with Toronto. Has never lived up to what they thought he was going to be in Baltimore. But I guess Toronto's going to give him a chance. He's pitch out of the pen and see if he can shut a few things down every now and then. Um, I did hear from Max, and
Good.
he sent me. Well, yeah, I should. I just followed. He sent me his picks for MVP, Cy Young, and Rookie of the Year, and I texted him back and I said I'll have to think on this.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and share what he has. He has the National League MVP being Juan Soto, which that's a good choice, and the American League MVP being Bobby Witt Jr. And if he has another season like he did, and they make the playoffs again, boy, it's going to take another monster year from Judge or somebody else to dethrone that because he's just good at everything.
Sure is.
Running, defense, hitting with power, team leader, awesome. National League Cy Young, who do you think he picked?
Nash. Well, maybe Snell.
Nope, he picked Paul Skeens.
Ballski. Oh yeah. Oh already. Well, as a card investor, I hope he's right. Then I'll make my Paul Skeens cards fly up the ladder.
This one is a little different. American League Cy Young. He's got Garrett Crochet.
Oh, okay. Now, who's Crochet with now in the American League? I'm trying to remember.
Let me see.
Gosh,
Uh,
I know I get Cease and Crochet kind of in my head discombobulated. I can't tell one from the other, to be honest with you.
he is pitching for the Red Sox. That's right.
Red Sox. Oh, well, with the Yankees having all these injuries, this could be a good opportunity for the Red Sox to make their move.
Yeah.
I think they're a good young team. That'll be fun. You know,
He's got him for the American League Cy Young.
okay.
National League Rookie of the Year. He's got Dylan Cruz from the Nationals, which is kind of a popular pick. And for the American League Rookie of the Year, Caden Dana, who's also a highly rated prospect for the Angels. I'll in a couple weeks, before the season starts, I'll release what I think is going to happen. We'll do our picks in a couple weeks.
Heck yeah, maybe round table. We'll get everybody's picks in.
And I'm going to go through some free agents that are still available with name recognition. And I think I got 11 of these, and they're in descending order from their WAR from last year, which has surprised me that some of these have not been picked up, especially the first two. The best player still out there that has the highest WAR is Jose Iglesias, the infielder for the Mets last year. He had a 2.5 WAR. There's got to be teams that could use that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, why is he still out there? And the second that has a good WAR over 2, and of course, you're not going to get 6 WAR guys. They're already gobbled up and being paid. Andrew Heaney has a 2.2 WAR, and he's still out there. I don't.
Yeah.
With the issues that teams have with pitching, I would think he would be someone that you could
take a chance on.
Spot starter, swing guy, pitch out of the bullpen, some versatility there. This is interesting. The player out there with the third highest WAR was a Cardinal last year.
My goodness, would it be like Helsley? Maybe Helsley?
No.
No.
Helsley's not a free agent.
And he was a Cardinal. Okay. Could it be like Lance Lynn?
Close.
Well, Gibson?
Gibson. He had a
Cal
1.5 WAR last year.
I had no clue.
And I think he pitched close to 170 innings.
He did a good job. I was really proud. Him and Lynn did a good job.
Where are the teams that are like, yeah, I'll take a flyer on him, especially with the Yankees having issues with pitching right now.
Oh yeah.
The next player, catcher Yasmani Grandal, who had a 1.4 WAR last year. Then we have Lance Lynn, who had a 1.3 WAR last year. And then it really starts to drop off. Next, who's still out there, Spencer Turnbull, who had a 0.7 WAR. JD Martinez is still out there. And I thought he had a better year than this, but his WAR was only 0.6. So he seemed to come through in the clutch, though, with the Mets. I seem to remember him being on clips and stuff, especially down the stretch that he was producing, but overall 0.6 WAR. This guy surprised me. I thought he would have had a higher WAR last year. Alex Verdugo, 0.6 WAR, is still out there.
He was out there.
Kevin Pillar, 0.5 WAR, is still out there. Next player, former All-Star, who is at the tail end of his career, maybe over because no one's picked him up. Whit Merrifield, 0.4 WAR, still out there.
2-hit Whit. I always like that guy.
Yeah.
Good hitter.
Yeah. Craig Kimbrell is out there with a 0.1 WAR. And I know he had his issues last year. The next player, Anthony Rizzo, who had a negative 0.02, a negative 0.02 WAR. And Rizzo has been very public. He's not going to sign a minor league deal. And he's saying, you know, I need to be paid what I deserve. And he's doing this holdout, which I don't think is a holdout because I don't think anyone's going to sign him for the future generations, you know, people that are older who deserve to get paid, not just based upon what they can produce, but being a little rewarded for what they've produced. Sorry, Anthony, that's not the way athletics work. If you cannot produce, there's no need for you. Um, it's a business. And if you want to, if you think you're worth, you know, 5-6 million a year, um, not with a negative WAR. And then the last player I have on this list with a negative 1.5 WAR, Jose Abreu, who last year, before we got Michael Bush, I was thinking that's a good fit for our first base slot. Dodged a bullet there.
You know, every one of these guys you mentioned, Vince, are a little long in the tooth, except for Dugo. And I just most of the teams have like a guy in their prime who's a superstar, or young guys they want to try out. So with DHs, I guess that's a possibility. But a lot of these guys, it might be the time that, you know, it's come to the end. I know Jim Cott said he would have pitched forever, but eventually nobody want him on the team. You know,
Yeah,
he gave it his best, but that's what happens sometimes.
yeah, and but if you've got a WAR above 1.5, I would just think there's going to be a place for you somewhere. Kyle Gibson, Andrew Heaney, two pitchers and a pitching star of league, who are on the positive side of WAR. I would think somebody would take a flyer. Jose Iglesias, 2.5 WAR is nothing to sneeze at.
I'd take that.
Yeah. So, oh,
A lot of
anyway,
things. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's all the baseball news I have. What do you have?
Well, there's been
I got
some
Cub news later. So,
there's been some signs of spring training. I know it's practice and everything, but I saw that DeGrom pitched 2 innings, a perfect 2 innings. That's good to see. I want to see DeGrom. I think Texas is a team. Vince, I'll go over this a little bit later, but I think they're a team that could. They've got postseason experience. This could be a year they could be back in the series. I'm big on Texas this year. So it's always a possibility. And with DeGrom added to that pitching staff, I think that'd be great. I know he only threw 2 innings, and I know he's had a lot of injuries and things like that, but that's a good sign right there. Elo De La Cruz homered from each side of the plate. And if he wasn't an all superstar already, this kid is just getting better and better. I think baseball's in a good place right now with all these young, great players. You guys have a lot of good young players. We've got, hopefully the Cardinals have some good young players I think are going to be superstars. They got to prove themselves yet, but I think the Cubs are a couple years ahead of us with I don't know, their team they got together, and their young players had a couple more years experience, some of them. And I think, Hap, you've got so many good ones over there, but baseball's in a good place with all these good young players. A guy I wanted to put a spotlight on, just kind of a small spotlight, and who I really admire is he doesn't get a lot of love, but Mark Kotsay, the coach of the Oakland A's. He's got a very young team. Until this year, they went out and spent a little money, but this guy had the leaving Oakland over his head. The fans were in a revolt down in Oakland. He kept that team together. Last year, they were 69-93. I know let's not have a parade for him just yet, but the team moved. There were some good young players coming up through that system, and he just got a 3-year. Oh, wait a minute. He's got the Kotsay was given a contract through 2029. The players like him. He's done a good job there, and it seems like they're starting to move in the right direction. Went and got some free agents and some name players to go with the young players. And the A's also announced a 3-year sponsorship from a Las Vegas Convention Center and Visitor Center. So they'll have a patch on their uniform this year with Las Vegas on it. And maybe one day they'll be playing there. It kind of looks more and more like that. But Mark Kotsay, I think he's done a good job. Don't you, Vince?
Yeah, the second half of the season they were not excellent. They were very good though.
I think 32 and 32 down the stretch there
Yeah,
at the end. Yeah.
yeah, I think he did an admirable job considering what he was working with and the situation. I don't know if I would have extended him out to 2029. I maybe maybe through 27 and then see how things are going. But hey, it's not my money.
Yeah. And maybe they give him a good deal too. But I like him there. He's just out of baseball. I mean, he went pretty much from the big leagues to this. So good for him. And I really hope the A's do good this year. And that division, I don't think the Astros are quite as good as they used to be. This could be a fun division over there in the American League with the A's over there now playing. Baltimore has announced they have a they have a whole entire orange uniform. And Vince, I don't like it. I know they look like guys from the
Yeah,
prison cleaning up the trash on the roads. What the heck, man? Baltimore's got a classic uniform. I don't know why they're monkeying around with it.
I saw pictures of it. I thought you
Oh,
guys look like a bunch of dreamsicles out there or something. I just did not
I
look.
no. I mean, there's been some bad uniforms. I remember the White Sox had the shorts and the collars. Kind of like the collar a little bit, but the shorts.
I like the shorts. No, I didn't like the short. I didn't care. Yeah, if someone
Oh,
wants, I don't care shorts, but the shirts that people said, oh, it looks like a pajama top. I kind of like that.
I
I
do
always thought
too.
they looked pretty cool. That loose fitting shirt. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Remember,
Tropical.
remember the last year that the Rams were here? It may have been their very last game. Um, they played Tampa Bay, and the Rams were all yellow, and the Buccaneers were all red, and it looked like the mustard and ketchup game.
No,
I
I don't
mean,
remember that.
oh, Google it, look it up. Mustard ketchup game, Rams 40 or Buccaneers. It was, yeah, it was silly looking. I think you can do that, like if you have a more of a pastel color uniform, like the powder blue that the Cardinals had for, away
Oh
game,
yeah.
or like Seattle, has had that. Um, Even if you do black, like Pittsburgh in the 70s had the all black with that was mean, man. That was intimidating.
That was a cool looking uniform.
Orange things, nah, that poor
Look like a
guys have
Muppet. I know they got to wear that thing out there.
like a
Oh,
puppet.
like a Muppet. Well, Vince, Vegas is always putting out their odds, and they've got their odds on who's going to win the World Series this year. So if you place $100 bet or a dollar bet, you can win the odds. But right now, Vince, who do you think Vegas is picking for the World Series matchup and who to win? Who do you think they got?
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. No,
You swerved me.
that other team, the
The
Dodgers.
other team, the Dodgers, and who do you think they got for the American League?
Well, it may not be the Yankees anymore.
Well, this was done a couple days ago. This was
Okay.
before they announced all their injuries. Yeah, so they've got the Dodgers at plus 250, 250. So you bet 100, you could win 250. The Yankees plus 800. But I'm just going to read off this. These are the top ones. They got Atlanta at third, Phillies, then the Mets, Houston, Baltimore, Texas, who I'm big on this year, Texas, San Diego, and Boston. Now, that's the top 10. Number 12 is the Cubs, and it's plus 3,000. So you put a couple hundred on that, you come away with a big prize if you think the Cubs could win it this year. The Cardinals are way down there. We're 26th. I didn't even put the number down. It's so astronomical. So we're 26th, but we are ahead of the Nationals, the Marlins, the Rockies, and the Nationals. Or no, who's the White Sox? White Sox. I put WS in there. So the White Sox, the Rockies, the Marlins, the Nationals, and then us. So, whoo, they don't think much of us this year. Let's prove them wrong, guys. Let's prove them wrong. But the Cubs 12. What do you think? Is that a good spot for the Cubs? Think that they're probably maybe the 12th spot.
Yeah, as they're constructed now, this is a team that can win and barring injury should have the best shot at winning this division. In a short series, Imanaga Steele, a good one too. The third starter would get a little iffy. Tyone, do you trust him starting a playoff game? Not really.
I like him for the season, though. As your third starter for the season,
Yeah,
I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the wild card is what if Cade Horton or Ben Brown really step up and reach their potential? Then you've got three solid starters, and you may be able to make a deeper playoff run. And that's a variable you don't know. It's an unknown until the season plays out. And that's why I get frustrated with people who automatically pronounce the team's good or bad this time of year. This isn't going to be the team come August after the trade deadline. It's very, very difficult to prognosticate from this time unless you do have a team like the Dodgers who basically have two starting rotations on their 40 man. So the Dodgers clearly have that kind of an advantage, but in the rest of the National League, a few injuries or something, any team is susceptible. So, we'll see. And it's the same thing in the division. The Cubs, barring injury, should win this. But we don't know. What if Tucker collides into the wall and misses 40 games? What if Imanaga needs Tommy John surgery? There are variables you can't predict. So 12, I buy that. I buy that this is a team that could reach the playoffs, but at this time they don't have that third starter. I look at Imanaga and Steele as 1B starters. They're not aces like a Garrett Cole or
Beans.
yeah, they're not that class. They're not quite twos. They're very good starting pitchers, just a tick below those great people. So yeah, I think they need a third starter. And of course, you never know what's going to be available at the trade deadline.
Yeah, Vince, I love your answer because one, this is what I noticed. You're very even keel. You could coach my team anytime. You're in there, anything can happen. And you and me both, we've been around a little while, and some of the best laid plans can fall flat. And so you just take things with a grain of salt, let the season play out. There's going to be surprises, there's going to be disappointments. And, as baseball fans, we've had probably a lot more disappointments than surprises, but you just never know. That's the great thing about the season. There'll be people stepping up, people we didn't even know or think of that may come about and something happen, So I remember when Trent Green got hurt and the Rams were like, oh no, we're done.
Yeah.
And nobody even knew the backup catcher. Is that you, Vince? I'm hearing music. No?
No.
Okay. I don't know what that was. Maybe Brody has something on here, alarm or something. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I thought that was you for a second. Anyway, yeah, so I like that. And I have one more thing, Vince, to go over. St. Louis has a Rawlings exhibit, and it's at the Westport area. It's advertised as a new experience at Westport Plaza. It's 14,000 square feet. It's got commemorative baseballs, a glove vault, a lot of gold gloves, a lot of pieces of baseball memorabilia, the gloves from yesteryear. You can have a glove made there. There's batting cages, so you can try out the different bats, a pro room with plaques. Sometimes they have appearances there, I have heard. Um, but they have archive objects and fascinating memorabilia. And I did not know that the Rawlings headquarters have been in St. Louis since 1887. So this is just an exhibit up there, and I've heard a few people talk about this. I don't like to make a trip up there to see what's going on, but if you've got a young player that's looking for a glove or a bat or some sort of equipment, might be the place to go up there and just go up and window shop and check it out. So anyway, I thought I'd bring that up.
So growing up, do you remember what the most you ever spent on a glove was when you were growing up?
Probably maybe 35, $40. It seems like maybe that much.
Yeah, when I was in college, I bought a glove that was $40. But
Yeah.
when I was a kid, man, we went to the outlet stores and we bought the $8 knockoff brand, whatever it was. I never had like a really good expensive glove. My brother-in-law, me and him in my early 20s, we played on the same softball team, and he was a really good outfielder. Uh, God rest his soul, but he spent like 120 on a glove and showed up to the game. We're all looking at it, and I mean, it was sharp, and you put your hand in it, you could tell the difference. Went outside, first ball hit to him, he made an error.
Look at you.
Oh, we all
We
get
had in our trailer park, we had these two brothers, Porky and Howard, and their dad was a trash man. And I guess if a glove was within a certain vicinity of the trash can, boom, these kids had like 20 gloves. The whole neighborhood had gloves. We'd go down and play baseball until somebody knocked the ball into the lagoon, and then the game was over. But we'd play all day long, one ball, one bat, and everybody had a glove. I mean, kids out there from 9 years old to 15 and had the best time of my life out there.
Oh, yeah. I had a blue glove when I was really young. And you'd put it on the handle of your bike and you'd ride your bike to the park, for
That's a
baseball.
great memory.
Yeah. And once I was a kid. I wasn't the most responsible human being in the world. I left my bike in my front yard with the glove on it. And I went outside later on and my bike's gone. Of course, the glove's gone too. And I, you know, told my mom my bike was stolen, which happened where I was growing up. People would steal bikes all the time. And it was missing for about a week. And my mom had made a police report and everything. And my mom had chewed me out for leaving my bike out. And then one day, about a week later, me and a friend are playing, and we see a cop car go back, and we see my bike in the back of the cop car, like in the trunk. And I ran home, Mom, the police have my bike. So I was more excited about getting the glove back. Went to pick up the bike, the glove wasn't with it. So my mom chewed me out because we didn't have a whole lot of money. My mom was an LPN, and there just wasn't a whole lot of cash in the house, and so I had to have a glove. So we went to Kmart, and I got the cheapest glove, and I probably used it for 2 years. And me and a friend, we took it apart and we put extra padding in it because there was nothing there. And even though I was an outfielder, the glove was so small, I had to catch the ball in the palm, like this area, and it hurt every time. So me and my friend, we took it apart. We put like stuffing that we found and put it in there. Practically made it into a catcher's mitt. So,
You remember playing ball? One thing I really remember is we played ball until the street lights came on, or until your mom came out on the porch and yelled, "Time for supper! Get home! We got supper!" Then every kid would look one at a time, ran home and ate supper. But that was how it was back in the 70s and things like that. That was such a great time. I forgot some of those stories about riding your bike with a glove on the handle. That's some good times, man.
we had a school 1 block from my house in grade school that I went K through 6 at, and it had a big field, um, dirt field, um, for like recess, and then across another fence was the asphalt playground along with the building. And so we would play if we could get enough together, we'd play a baseball game. If we couldn't get enough, we would play Indian ball, where you just throw the ball up and swing at it, and
Yeah.
so for that. or if it was one-on-one, someone in the neighborhood invented this game that just kind of kept going. Well, not now because the school is gone. And we would call it tennis ball. It would be one-on-one baseball. We'd be on the asphalt, and there was a big platform to go into the building, and it was about 5 feet tall. So the batter would stand in front of that platform, and we would just throw a tennis ball, and there were no bases or anything. So if they hit the ball and it got past you, like on the ground, that would be a single. If they hit the ball like a line drive and bounced and then hit the fence, because there was a fence back there, wasn't that far away, that would be a double. If it hit the fence on a fly, it'd be a triple. If you went over the fence, it was a home run. So we would play that one-on-one baseball with a tennis ball, if we had nothing else to do. Couldn't get enough people to do the other stuff. So we were always playing some form of baseball, or we were collecting our baseball cards, or as I got a little older, we would play Strat.
Yes.
It was just
On and
baseball
on.
all summer long. I remember I was in high school. I had gotten so used to playing Strat at night, and I would play till like 3 in the morning, just rolling the dice, keeping my stats and everything. And the closer I got to school, the later I was staying up. So the first day of school, I could not fall asleep at the proper time, and I just then I had to get up and go to school. It was terrible.
Yeah. Great memories, Vince. I love that. That's good stuff.
So what's going on in Cardinal news?
Well, first of all, this is a big day for me. There's different signs of the season coming, but a veteran, I work at the VA, one of my jobs is at the VA, brought me the pocket schedule for this year. Da, 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 and it's Brendan Donovan and Mason Wynn are the featured guys. Now, I have every pocket schedule from 67 to current day. And, this is a big turning point because for years we had Goldie and Arenado, Pujols and Yachty and Waino and Roland and Edmonds. And, I think there was a year Carlos Martinez was featured, and it went all the way back to Brock and Gibson and all that. So and McGuire was big featured when he was with the Cardinals. But here we got two new guys with the pocket schedules. And usually that means that our media guides and the scorecards usually have some sort of theme, or it could be this kind of art or whatever, and that'll be on everything this year. So that's cool. Got the pocket schedule going. I also want to mention Saturday down at our friends, A Boy's Dream Hobby Shop, they had the one, the only Jim Edmonds down there. And
What a crowd. I saw the pictures. What a crowd.
It was the biggest, and Brad just had the biggest smile on his face. But here's the thing. He was only supposed to be there for 2 hours. And I think they had so many pre-sales, probably the first half an hour, he's just signing the pre-sale stuff. And then down there, people get to spend time with the player. And, I've seen people go in there and go, I'm 93 and I love the Cardinals and I got a bad elbow, and they'll talk. And, the players are nice. Oh, nice. That's nice. But the line won't move. So about an hour into it, they said, hey, guys, get your stuff ready. Get in there, get your stuff signed. Don't ask for a picture, but if you want to take a picture while he's signing, that's cool. And it moved a little quicker. I bet he was there for 3.5 hours. And I could tell, and every once in a while, Brad would go in there and give him a pep talk. Come on, the line's getting short. We're almost to the end, Jim. Just keep going. But I could tell he was tired. So Jim Edmonds, what a trooper. He made sure every single person who came out and got their stuff to get signed, he signed it. And that was just great. That was that was a treat. Now, I had only planned on getting my card signed because I was like, nope, I'm going to show a little financial discipline and just get my card signed. But Vince, by God, I couldn't just do it. I saw.
You got a problem, man.
I got a problem. I got a big problem. I seen this picture and I was like, oh, that's perfect. Okay, I'm going to get it. And this is what I got signed. Now, it's look at that. Is that not cool?
I like that.
I do. And I did not know, right over here, he's got a tattoo and it's DK57, Daryl Kyle 57. I didn't think about that. And then Brad goes, that's the one with DK on it, 57. I said, oh, Daryl Kyle. really cool. So I've got this big thing, and I'm going to have to find something to put in the top part of this. But
I like how he signed it with a red marker too. That's really cool.
well, when you go there, for folks that haven't been out there, they have workers, and they'll say, "Okay, what do you got to get signed?" And you have a little order sheet, and they'll say two of these, one of these, all this kind of stuff. And he goes, what pen do you want him to use?" And I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Well, he's been signing that in the red." And I said, "Let's do the red then." And you're right, Vince. I was so happy he did it in the red. And my wife, Faith, puts up with me, and she goes, "JJ, I really like that. That's a very nice picture." I said, "Oh, thank you." So I got to figure out a way to display it now. So I'll be working on that in the upcoming months. But man, I had such a good time. And Mike Matheny's the next one coming down to Caledonia. Sometime I'll talk about that later at a later date. But love Matheny, so that'll be an opportunity to get to sit down and maybe chit chat with him for just a second, get my stuff signed. So that's it on the hobby part of the Cardinals. Uh, we talked last week about Jordan Walker had to be shut down for about 10 days because he wrenched his knee or something was going on, where we found out he stepped on a sprinkler head. And Vince, breaks my heart, with today's technology and the money they spend on these stadiums, he hit a sprinkler head. That should be put away or below the ground. I remember there was one year Mickey Mantle was a young player, and to avoid the collision with DiMaggio, he slid and he hit a sprinkler head, and it tore up his knee, and he was never the same after that. So, my God, I don't know if it's just a freak accident or what, but we've got to make sure you got so much invested in these players. And Jordan Walker, we're counting on him so much this year. But with that being said, he's progressing in the 10 days off. He's progressing faster than they thought. He's looking good, and he should be back. Matter of fact, he should have been back today. I haven't looked at the box.
Which ballpark was he in when he stepped on the sprinkler?
I don't know. I honestly I couldn't tell you, Vince. I don't know. I assumed it was Jupiter, but I don't know that,
Yeah.
But man, that's just, oh, please don't let that happen. And as a Cardinal fan, we've had a lot of really weird accidents. We've had the tarp run over Vince Coleman. The fastest guy in baseball gets run over by one of the slowest objects in baseball. Matheny got cut with a hunting knife. He was trying to put it back in his sleeve and cut himself. We've had so many crazy.
Was it Danny Cox who jumped off like a 3-foot seawall to go fishing one spring training and tore up his knee?
That sounds familiar. Yes. All kinds of weird things. Who was the guy who had to dream about spiders and hurt himself?
Glenn Allen Hill.
Glenn Allen Hill. We didn't have Glenn Allen Hill, but yeah, freak accidents like that. And you think, my gosh. But life happens. I hear people getting hurt all the time, and civilians like us. And you step in a gopher hole or whatever. But man,
do you remember when Sammy Sosa sneezed and broke his rib?
I heard about that.
Yeah.
How long was he out with that?
A couple weeks.
Oh,
there's nothing you can do with a broken rib, but just let it be.
Golly, my gosh. Well, the only other injury the Cardinals have really had so far, knock on wood, this year is left-handed pitcher Zach Thompson, who seems to have he's had some injuries over the last few years. A lat strain. He will be shut down for 3 or 4 weeks. And he's only pitched one scoreless inning this spring. I remember it was a couple years ago in the fall league, or I think it was Arizona League. He did really good, and we haven't seen much of him since. He was a big draft pick for the Cards, so I don't know what's going on with Zach, but I wish him well. We could use him.
Why don't the Cardinals do this?
Yeah.
Put Zach Thompson in the booth and bring Brad Thompson back.
Oh, Chalky. I love Chalky. That guy, he's an odd dude, too. I love him. But I don't know if Brad still got it. And, of course, every time they show a Brad Thompson highlight, it's usually him giving up one of those third-level home runs or something like that. And he's a good sport, and he laughs about it.
Humor about it, yeah.
He sure does. The Cardinals did some moving of some players, which is common in spring training. Max Rajerc, he was sent to Memphis, and that was March 5th. March 7th, Tink Hence has been sent to Springfield, and Matt Savanson and Sim Roberson have been sent to Memphis. So Tink's going to be in Springfield. I'm sure he'll get to pitch a lot down there. I don't think he did anything electrifying this spring, but he just wasn't going to make the team. So he's down there working, and I hope we see him sooner than later. And also, Ryan Helsley, who has not been, I haven't seen much of Ryan this spring, but he's developing a cutter, and they say it looks pretty good. And that guy's already got two devastating pitches. He has a cutter to it. Good Lord. And I can see if he comes out of if he's healthy and comes out of the chutes and has a great spring, I could see him bringing the Cardinals some big things at the trading deadline because every team in it will be wanting a closer or helping their bullpen, and Ryan Helsley would be a big pickup for anybody. I'd hate to lose him. Hope he stays a Cardinal until the day he retires, but realistically, we probably could get some good young players for him. He'd bring a lot to the Cards. So anyway, that's it, and that's my Cardinal news right there.
Well, JJ, one
Yes.
week from today, when we get on this podcast, the Cubs will be either 1-0 or 0-1.
Go Cubs!
That's exciting. We will open in Japan next Tuesday against the Dodgers, and I'll get into that a little bit later. A couple things I do want to bring up. The other day, PCA had a 2-home run inning, a solo shot, and a grand slam. He's having a monster spring, doing everything right. He hit a little league home run the other day, and then he hits. He's got more power than what you think. The shot he hit in Miami last year, 440 feet or something like that. He's got some serious pops. So he's not just a Punch and Judy speed guy. He's got some pop to him. So that was very good. Cade Horton finally made it into a spring game. He pitched one inning, gave up a solo shot, but he still looked pretty good. So hopefully he'll continue to progress. With everything going on with leaving for Japan, I guess we leave tomorrow. We had to make our roster cuts. In Japan, you can have a 26-man roster, but you could also take 5 people on the taxi squad. So there will be 31 players going to Japan. And I'll get into that in a minute. But those who are not going, Ben Cowles, who's had a really good spring, he's optioned to AAA. Just no room for him on this team. But boy, I like having that guy AAA because I can see if we have an injury or two, he can come up and he can give you some solid performances. Sent to the minor league camp, Brandon Hughes, who pitched for us a few years ago and then has had some injuries, and we invited him back. He's going to the minor league camp. Cade Horton, of course, is going to the minor league camp. Travis Jankowski, the Cub killer, he's going to the minor league camp. Carlos Perez, Moises Ballesteros, all going to the minor league camp. Nicky Lopez has also been sent to the minor league camp. But Nicky Lopez, the rumors are he's going to look for greener pasture somewhere. So if he didn't make the team, he's on the 40-man. If he didn't make the team, he has that option. Couple of surprises going to Japan. Vidal Brujan, who played for the Marlins last year, hit about 220. He's had a very good spring for the Cubs. He can play all the infield positions. He can also play the outfield, so he's kind of like a Swiss Army guy. If he can get any hitting, it would be great. He's got plenty of speed, got plenty of defense. But he made the team going to Japan, as did Gage Workman, who I brought up last week, who's really intriguing. 6'5", third baseman, good fielder, a lot of pop. He hit 18 home runs in Double-A last year, drove in 85 runs, also stole 30 bases. He's a Rule 5 pick from Detroit, so if he's not on the roster all year, we have to have the option to send him back. But I'm glad they kept him. I'm hoping between injuries and everything else, I'm hoping maybe we can get 200 to 300 at bats out of this guy because he looks really good. Nico will not be going to Japan, which is why we've got Burhan and Workman going because he's still rehabbing. And they are saying that opening day stateside, that will be his target date.
Okay.
Where are we playing? I think we're playing the Diamondbacks opening day in Arizona.
Ooh, that'll be good. Good series there.
Matt Shaw also has made the team, so he'll be going to Japan too. And we will have, like I said, a 5-man taxi squad. And if you've not heard that term before, it's been used. Last time it was used in baseball was during COVID, and it's basically players who are not in the minor leagues for whatever reason. You put them on a taxi squad, which means they travel with the team, they practice with the team. Football teams do this quite a bit. They're called the practice squads, but they've also been called the taxi squad. With the reason they're having a taxi squad, the Cubs and the Dodgers, is because if they do get there in Japan, and if they're only playing 2 games, but if someone goes down, pull up a guy from the taxi squad. And I haven't heard who the taxi squad is, but I have a feeling Kevin Alcantara is probably one of them. I've heard that Brad Keller is also one of them, but I don't know who else. So, but anyway, they're probably just people who will go to Japan and soak it in and never even be on the bench. The Cubs have a very interesting roster for the Japanese series. We only have 2 starters on the roster for the Japanese series because why would we need more? So got a ton of relievers. So we are going to be having Imanaga pitch the first game and Steele the second game, and they're probably going to go 4 or 5 innings, and it'll be turned to the bullpen, unless they go out there and get crushed. Who knows? So this is the schedule for Japan. Game 1 next Tuesday morning, 5:10 Central Standard Time. And if you want to watch that game, it will be on Fox.
Okay.
So it's network TV.
Yeah.
It's also on Marquee, those who have Marquee, and you can also pick it up on MLB.TV. Game 2, which is Wednesday at 5:10 in the morning, Central Standard Time. Both these are in the morning. That will be broadcast on FS1, Marquee, and MLB.TV. So that's where you can find them. I plan on getting up, because I get up early anyway, Tuesday. I've got biscuits and gravy I'm going to make, and I'm going to sit down. If it's nice outside, I might sit in the dark and eat my biscuits and gravy and watch it out there if it's nice. If not, I'm just going to sit in the TV room, and Kathy will probably stumble up between 6 and 7. Who's winning? So you want to know who I was surprised is not going to Japan?
He's not going? I always thought Jeremy Conner would be right there front and center.
He's got stuff to do here. He's got a podcast to do. So Jeremy Conner not going to Japan.
Comes a time in every man's life.
All right.
He needs some
Being this is
advice
kind
on
of a lull, not a whole lot going
You
on
need
in
to listen
baseball.
to the podcast DMDR.
JJ and I, we decided we talk a lot about music.
From my good
We're
friend Jeremy Conner.
kind of go through our
Dr.
10
Phil
favorite
of the Hill. You can
albums
find DMDR on Spotify or whatever
of all
platform
time.
you choose to listen
So-
to your podcast.
JJ, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
I have 20,
Oh,
but 10 I'm only going to talk about as honorable mentions. I'll just mention them real quick. How many do you have? Any honorable mentions?
yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 honorable. Vince, this was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I had a list. I took 2 of my big music friends, and they made lists, and we compared, and we only had like 1 album that was on all 3 of our lists, And that album will be coming up on the list. But yeah, it was tough. No greatest hits, no live. It had to be an album that came out and it was just organic how good it was.
There. That's what it means.
Okay.
Anytime we double, I'm gonna mark it.
Okay. All right.
On any.
Woo-hoo.
Why don't we just give our Why is this not working now? Why don't we just give our honorable mentions first, and then we'll
Sure.
go run from 10 to 1.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Sure. I only have five. These are my five honorable mentions for best album of my favorite album. I have Breakfast in America, Supertramp. I have
Very good,
Boston.
but I don't.
Yeah, Boston One. Boston One.
Great album.
Rush Moving Pictures. The Wall by Pink Floyd, and Back in Black, AC/DC. Those are my five honorable mentions.
I have none of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay. These are my 10 honorable mentions. I've got the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's and Abbey Road, Alice in Chains, Prince, Purple Rain, Peter Frampton, Frampton Comes Alive, The Police, Synchronicity, The Mills Brother, Till We Meet Again,
Oh,
Green Day, Dookie, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Head East, Flat as a Pancake,
oh, that's a good one.
and the Foo Fighters, In Your Honor, which
Oh,
is not like one of their highest regarded albums, but I love it.
it
So
hit the spot for you.
yeah, those are my 10 honorable mentions. So you want to start with your number 10?
You want to go 10, 10, 9, 9? We'll just go back and forth like
Let's
that.
do that.
All right. I won't stay too long on this because you know I'm windy. So you try to wrap me up if I get too crazy. Number 10 for me, favorite album, Rumors, Fleetwood Mac, 1977. You put that album on, Vince, and I don't care if you're a kid today, an old person, it sounds like the 70s. You got one of the greatest underrated rhythm sections of John McVie and Mick Fleetwood. You got three songwriters, three singers. There's not a song on that album that you fast forward or skip. The core of the album, the singles are let's see, Go Your Own Way, Dreams, Don't Stop, Believe It, or Don't Stop, and You Make Loving Fun. Those are the big four, but that's just half of it. They also, this album won Grammy LP of the Year. It's in the Library of Congress, and Secondhand News, Daddy, let's see, Songbird, the chain
Chain's
is,
awesome.
yeah. And and Silver Springs was actually supposed to be on that album, and when they recertified it, it is on the album. 40 million copies sold. My favorite, I'm a lyric guy. My favorite lyric in the whole album is packing up and shacking up's all you want to do. That's my favorite line, and that's from Go Your Own Way, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. So number 10 for me, Rumors, Fleetwood Mac.
All right, very good. I didn't have that down anywhere, but there's not a weak song on the whole album. And Fleetwood Mac, the Fleetwood Mac album before that was just Fleetwood Mac and Rumors. They have two of my favorite album covers. Very
Classic.
simplistic but artsy.
Yes, really. I'm with you.
My number 10 album is Alabama, The Closer You Get.
Is that the first one? No, that's not on the line.
That's not. It came out in 82 or 83, I think. It was the first country album that I bought it on cassette that I had ever bought. And I bought it for one song, Dixieland Delight, which is one of my all-time favorite country songs. Great video. So I went and I bought it, and I put it in my cassette player in my car. And the first song, The Closer You Get, comes out. And every song I thought, my gosh, this is great stuff. This is awesome. I didn't think the whole album would be this good. But I've been an Alabama fan ever since. Roll Tide. No, not that. The Closer You Get, I think, is their best album. And it meant a lot to me during those teenage years. And I played the heck out of it on, it would be eaten up. And so I finally just got it on CD whenever CDs became popular. So that's my number 10.
And all right. Now I moved to number 9. And I tell you what, Vince, when I was a kid, I'd go to parties, and some people go and meet somebody and they go out to the cars. Some people drink, some people do things they shouldn't be doing. I always would go down to the stereo and look through the albums and look at the songs and read the liner notes and play music and stuff like that. And Rumors and this album, if you didn't have these in your collection, it ain't a collection, it's just a random group of albums. But for me, number 9, Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath, 1980. I tell you what, they lose their lead singer, Ozzy Osbourne. He's gone. What are you going to do? How can you find another singer? You get Ronnie James freaking
Ronnie
Dio
James
is who
Dio.
you get. And this guy's voice, the little bitty fella, but he's got the voice. And I tell you what, the album cover kind of scared me. It's 3 angels smoking cigarettes and kind of taking a break. And that album is fantastic. Heaven and Hell, good and bad, light and dark. My favorite lyric in that one is the devil is not a maker, the love that you give, you're a taker. That is just, and fool. There's harmonies in it, which Black Sabbath never really had much harmonies and orchestraic stuff in it. But they're big ones. Neon Nights, Lady Evil, Heaven and Hell. Then you got Children of the Sea, Wishing Well. Just fantastic stuff I never get tired of. And it's the kind of music you put on before a football game or just to get yourself psyched up for something. But my number 9 is Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath.
I was never a huge Sabbath fan. It was well into my adult years. I was probably in my 30s, maybe 40s before I really started appreciating. I thought Paranoid was a great album. War Pigs is an excellent song. Um, but I'm more of a fan of Ozzy's solo stuff than that. So I don't think I've ever heard the album Heaven or Hell. I mean,
just give yourself, just listen to Heaven and Hell, and it's magnificent. It's grand. It's huge. It's really good.
okay. My number 9 is Soundgarden Super Unknown. Come out in 1994, excuse me. And it has some of my favorite songs on there from Soundgarden. But the best song on there is The Day I Tried to Live, which is a great song that showcases the range of Chris Cornell's voice, from singing down low to the day I tried to live, going up there. But the lyrics are so pointed. The day I tried to live, I stole the beggar's change and gave it to the rich. Or I waddled in the mud with all the other pigs. And then that last line, the day I tried to live like you. It's like, wow, this politically charged song and from a super talented band with I think the best rock voice I've ever heard. Huge Chris Cornell fan. So number 9, Soundgarden Super Unknown.
All right, we're moving up the list now. And this goes out to my good friend Hodge. He's no longer with us, but my best friend, and forever we would argue Zeppelin versus the Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles guy, as you can see right here, Beatles Avenue. I could have put all 10 out. All 10 of my picks could have been Beatles, but to be realistic, these are I think the best one. They may have had one when George was playing all the Indian music. I was like, that's just okay. But number 8 for me, in the honor of my good friend Tim Hodge, and we listen to this all the time, Zeppelin 4. This is 1971. This is the famous one where the man's carrying the sticks. Oh, it's one we agree on. Well, I won't get too far into this because Vincent's going to talk a little bit about it too. But all 4 of these musicians are at the top of their game. Jimmy Page on Stairway to Heaven, that guitar solo just circles and gets bigger and bigger. And you got John Bonham on When the Levee Breaks. And that is a remake. All the other songs are original on this, except When the Levee Breaks, it's Memphis Minnie. She did it, but they took her song and just put steroids into it. And Macho Screamer, Robert Plant. And I think the backbone of the band is John Paul Jones and his arrangements of the albums and his playing the mandolin and the keyboards and putting the orchestras in there and everything. To me, that's one of the all-time, and my favorite line in it is from Memphis Minnie and When the Levee Breaks. Crying won't do you no crying won't help you, and praying won't do you no good. When the levee breaks, you got to move, and that is so true. You complete devastation. So I could go over the songs and everything, but just just know that you got Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Battle of Evermore, and then you hit Stairway to Heaven on number 4. And right there, that should be enough for anybody. And the other songs are must listens to as well. So my number 8 is Stairway to Heaven. All right, Stairway to Heaven. Zeppelin 4.
Okay. My number 8 is just like Led Zeppelin. It's Donna Summer on the radio. Okay. I am a vocal opponent of disco. I do not like much disco. Um, my sister bought, actually, I think it was her boyfriend, bought Donna Summer. And when they would have to taxi me places, they would have it on the cassette. And I realized this doesn't sound like canned disco. A this is real music, and it's a double album set, and it is fantastic. There's not a weak song in it, and I over the span of about a month, I grew to love Donna Summer. So I went out, I bought it myself, and I have it in vinyl down here. And one of my greatest thrills in life is my daughter Evelyn, who's also a collector of vinyl. She's a huge Donna Summer fan, and one of her albums, not on the radio, but it's like a 12-inch, but it folds out into a calendar that's about 4 foot long. And she said, "Dad, can you make me a frame for this?" I'm sure I can make a frame. Do you know how hard it is to make a frame that's 12 inches by 4 foot long? It wasn't easy, but got that Donna Summer thing and for her, and it was really cool. But I just think Donna Summer is a fantastic singer. Um, at that time in her life, she was kind of an angry person because she had reached a lot of or experienced a lot of racial issues. Um, then in the 80s, she kind of lightened up a little bit, and I got kind of got a little bit happier, I guess, because she was seeing progression going on. But on the radio, dim all the lights, enough is enough. Just um, oh, everything's good. Sunset People, uh, just awesome stuff. So Donna Summer, number 8 on the radio.
Very good. Well, 7's near and dear to my heart. I just got out of active military and went to the reserves, 1991, and it's U2's Octoon Baby. It was recorded in Germany, and this album, I tell you what, 1990 when Nirvana and Nevermind came out, the whole music industry changed. The long-haired hair bands, some of them became a thing of the past. And from the early 80s, the U2 just kept growing and changing sounds and everything. And then, of course, you had Joshua Tree and Rattle and Hum, and then Nirvana came and everything changed. Well, this album was a big change for them. They went dirtier and grittier, worked with new producers, and there's not a bad song on this album. I was so proud of them when this came out. Let's see. The Fly. The album starts with The Fly, which actually was the first single. Mysterious Waves with that great guitar. One, a great ballad, Bono. Even better than The Real Thing. Who's Going to Ride Your Wild Horses? I had someone special in my life, and that was our song. Let's see. 18 million copies, 2 Grammys, a really successful tour. Ultraviolet, Love is Blindness. Ultraviolet's one of my favorite U2 songs. And I don't know. I could go over my favorite lyrics are in the song One. I won't go over the lyrics, but I just absolutely love that song. Never get tired of it. That's probably the 3rd most listened to album I've ever listened to in my life. I just play it over and over. When I listen to it, I'll listen to it 10, 15 times in a row and then put it away for a little while, keep it fresh. But anyway, Octoon Baby for me, number 7.
Hmm. My favorite YouTube album is The Unforgettable Fire.
Oh, great one.
that was right before the Joshua Tree, and they were kind of transitioning from that garage sound to a more
Yeah.
polished sound. And the Unforgettable Fire kind of has that balance there. So,
They became better musicians at that point. They started becoming better musicians too.
yeah. Well, my number seven is from what may be my favorite all-time band. Um, I just wish that things would have worked out different for them. My number seven is The Doors' LA Woman.
Great
A
album.
lot of people, they like their first album or Morrison Motel. Morrison Motel, I really like. It's more of a blues album. But LA Woman, they kind of they have like Riders of the Storm, LA Woman, 20th Century Fox. It's a completely different sound. And when they first recorded it, uh, one of the uh, one of the sound engineers said this sounds too much like lounge music, and they said, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. So they just went that different direction. And my two favorite Door songs are LA Woman and Riders on the Storm. So it was just a great album to listen to. And I can I can listen to Riders on the Storm. One night when I was in college, I had this issue with a girlfriend, and I went to a Baptist school, and if you wasn't in the dorm by midnight, you didn't show up on campus till late in the morning. So it's about 11:58, and I thought, you know what? Screw it. I don't want to be at this place right now. I got in my car and I just drove the back roads from Hannibal to St. Louis. And then I drove the back roads back. And then I drove the back roads there, back roads back, listening to LA Woman on the tape. And every time Riders on the Storm would come by, it just kind of fit my mood at the time. So
Yes.
love LA Woman, love the Doors. Too bad Jim Morrison was an idiot.
But a lyrical genius, great voice too.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
heard
Oh, go ahead.
I heard Robbie Krieger interviewed once, and he said, I have so many people say, Jim was such a awesome guy and everything. Jim was an idiot. Jim ruined his life with drugs. You don't have to live that way. We would have made great music if he had his head on straight. So, yeah, pretty
Oh,
much echoes my sentiments too. You don't have to be nuts
yeah.
to be creative. But anyway,
Well, for me, number six, this is a debut album, 1978, and it's Van Halen 1. And I would say it's tough for anyone to come up with an album that was so good in your debut. I mean, you got the Beatles, Meet the Beatles, and you got other ones. But to me, this is when the world discovered Eddie Van Halen. I remember being in my room. I remember the time. It's sort of like when, things in your life when you heard Elvis passed away, or just or JFK or whatever. But when I heard Ain't Talking About Love, I was like, what the heck is this? It's totally sonic sound. David Lee Roth, he may not be everybody's cup of tea, but with his, spin kicks and doing the splits and all that. But I tell you what, he's a great lead man. He's got a little pizzazz to him. And I think their musicianship with his vaudevillian antics, it worked. And that first album was just fantastic. I mean, uh, uh, let's see, and they did a lot of remakes. I'm not going to defend them on that end of it. You really got me now. Running with the Devil, Ain't Talking About Love, Jamie's Crying, On Fire, Eruption. Just a musical piece, and it's fantastic. Now, when I hear Eruption, I immediately think of the Kinks song. You really got me now. They go in together. You can't hear one without thinking of the other now. I'm the One, Atomic Punk, and Little Dreamer, and of course Ice Cream Man, which is also a remake. But my gosh, great album. Put them on the map. And I don't know if they've ever duplicated how great that first album was. Sometimes when you're young, you don't really know how great you are, how good you are. You're just flying by the seat of your pants. And man, that album, the four pictures of them in the front and then David Lee Roth in the back, that's kind of iconic in my book, with that Eddie Van Halen guitar with all the little stripes on it and everything. Just love it. So number 6 for me, Van Halen 1.
Yeah, that's a great album. And I do like how Eruption flows into You Really Got Me. And my wife's favorite band ever is the Kinks. So, I always had an affinity for the Kinks even before I met her. So people say You Really Got Me is like the first hard rock song. And Van Halen, 15 years or close to 15 years after it was originally put it out with a more modern sound, with better equipment, with better sound, and it worked really good. The problem I have is I bought the CD Van Halen's Greatest Hits,
Okay.
one that they made during that split of Sammy Hagar going, I guess, back to David Lee Roth and then Gary. It was just kind of a weird time. But if you
Right.
listen to that, Eruption's first, and then it goes into Ain't Talking About Love. So I listened to that, and every time I would hear Eruption, I would think You Really Got Me's coming up, and then it would be Ain't Talking About Love. So then when I'd go back to listen to the other one, I'd be all screwed up.
Yes.
So great album. My number 6 is John Mellencamp's Scarecrow. You got that one?
No, but I love that album. That is a great album.
Done mostly with acoustic instruments, a lot of violins, a lot of acoustic guitars, a great song, and it is chock full of he's an apologist for the American farmer, and he put that out at the same time he and Willie Nelson came up with Farm Aid, which I believe is still going on now. But Rain on the Scarecrow, A Blood on the Plow, that first song talking about the plight of the American farmer and how his friend is now works for a bank and had to foreclose on a farm. And it's like, oh my gosh. I I think I got that like my sophomore, junior year of college, and I didn't realize how good it was going to be until I listened to it. It was like awesome stuff.
Great album. Yeah, he was in his
And
prime them days.
by the way, do you know where watermelons and cantaloupes go for the summer?
No, I do not.
John Cougar's Melon Camp. One of my favorite songs ever.
Oh, Lordy, Lordy. Well, hey, we're into the top 5 now. And anybody out there, if you got your top 10, send us your top 10. I want to hear these things. But some of these albums I'm putting out there, a lot of people have never heard the whole album. You might have heard the big hits, but you haven't heard the whole album. And there's some hidden gems. So we're now in the second half. Number 5 for me, 1975, Toys in the Attic, Aerosmith. I leaned a little bit to more harder rock and roll is what I like. And first of all, you got Sweet Emotion. Oh my gosh, one of the all-time a KC classic if there ever was one. Then you got to go Walk This Way, and then You See Me Crying, Toys in the Attic, Uncle Salty, No More, No More. And I tell you what, I love the songs. I know some people have been already burned out. Oh, I've heard Walk This Way and Sweet Emotion so many times. Well, I never get tired of it, but they have a song No More, No More and See Me Crying, which, oh my gosh, pianos, and you got your Steven Tyler. And this is when I think they broke up because they had drug problems. But this is the cocaine fueled album right here. They were just letting it fly. And I tell you what, it's they gave up a lot for their craft, but I tell you what, this album here is wonderful. And after they got back together, there's some good songs and some good ballads, but it's more produced. It's kind of more polished. This stuff here is kind of raw, and I'm telling you what, I just absolutely love. So Toys in the Attic, one of my favorite albums, and Can't Catch Me Because the Rabbit Done Died. That's one of my favorite lyrics in that whole album. So that's it. Aerosmith, number 5, Toys in the Attic.
My number 5 is Led Zeppelin 4.
Boom. Yeah.
For the very same reasons you said. So we can move on.
Oh, I just, what's your favorite song on that album? You got a favorite?
Boy, I don't know because rock and roll, I've always loved that song, and I've always loved
Oh,
Stairway to Heaven. Um, when the levee breaks, it's just
the,
musically
the
awesome.
harmonica. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on one of their other albums, um, I don't remember which album it was, they did a remake of It's Nobody's Fault But Mine, that old spiritual. Um, and that's fantastic. If you've ever heard Led Zeppelin sing Nobody's Fault But Mine. It's
I'll check that
awesome.
out. Thank you. I'm going to check that out tonight. Well, my number four, 1975, I seem to be stuck in the 70s on these albums. Iconic album cover, iconic album. I just love this guy. It's in the Library of Congress. Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. Not to be confused with Born in the USA. Born to Run is the one. He had two albums before that and hadn't got over worldwide yet. He had a huge audience and putting on these 4 hour shows. But Born to Run is the album that put him on. Vince, I never get tired of this album. Matter of fact, it's out in the car right now. I listen to it all the time. There's the quietness of Roy Orbison mixed with the wall of sound of Phil Spector. I just absolutely, the lyrics are fantastic, long. He really got wordy with this album. And let's see, Born to Run, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, my favorite, Backstreets. Um, just excellent across the thing. Thunder Road, which a lot of these songs he still plays in concert and are fan favorites to this day. And this is 1975, so 50 years ago. The sax solo, Clarence Clemens sax solo on Jungle Land, magnificent. Um, He's the One, Meet Me at the River. Only 8 songs on this album, but it's a masterpiece. And I won't tell you my favorite lyrics because he just writes so grandioso in this whole album. But I've seen Bruce perform some of these songs, and every time you see him, he does just a little difference on these songs live. Bruce is one of the true live performers. I'll be honest, I love the Beatles, but they weren't live performers so much. But Bruce Springsteen sure is. So anyway, number four, Born to Run.
Very good. Yeah, I didn't put any Springsteen. I'm not a I mean I like him, but
Yeah.
that's I'm not a huge fan. Um my number four, which when you said iconic album cover, this guy, I thought maybe we got the same number four. My number four is Meatloaf Bad Out of Hell.
Get that pen ready, Vince.
Oh, you've got that? All right. So there's two we got. I could mark that. The first song I heard from that on the radio was Two Out of Three Ain't Bad, which I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. I want you, I need you, but there ain't no way I'm ever gonna love you. Don't be sad. Two out of three ain't bad. Um, so I think my sisters bought the album, and I would listen to it nonstop. Um, Bad Out of Hell is a great song. I don't know how long it lasts. It seems like a half an hour. But telling a story of a motorcycle accident that I heard Jim Steinham, who wrote all these songs, Meatloaf sang them. He said that his goal was to write a song about the most awesome motorcycle crash ever. So, it wasn't a whole lot of deep thinking, but they took this album everywhere and nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it. And finally, Todd Rundgren got a hold of it and said, I think we can do something with this. And that part in Bad Out of Hell where he does the motorcycle, that's Todd Rundgren just on a guitar. And the day they were going to record it, leading up to that, Jim Steiner kept telling Todd Rundgren, we need a motorcycle. We need a motorcycle sound. He'd say, okay. So the day they were going to record it, he said, hey, where's the motorcycle sound? And Rundgren just picked up his guitar and, it just did it. And then he looked at Jim Stein and like, there it is, no problem. So one take, it was awesome. But for Crying Out Loud is beautiful ballad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You took the words right out of my mouth. It's just a fun song. But Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, for any kid going through puberty or getting ready to go through puberty like me, that was like pornography. That was like, oh yeah, I can picture all this, and yeah. And I didn't completely understand it all, but I just knew that babies were produced by the Dashboard Lights sometimes. So, but
Oh,
it's got such great humor in it too. He's, you know, swear to my God and all my mother's great, I'll love you till the end of time. So now I'm praying for the end of time to hurry up and arrive.
oh, oh. Well, Vince, my number 3 is Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. And you said such beautiful things about him. I agree totally. I will add a few little things. It's a rock opera. It's a rock freaking opera. It's magnificent. Every song on that is great. Of course, everybody knows the big three, and there's like these lines you can just say, and everybody go, oh, that's Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. Baby, we can talk all night, but that ain't getting us nowhere. Oh, that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. On a hot summer night, would you give your throat to the wolf with the red roses? That's kind of like a Little Red Robin Hood with the girl and the wolf and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love that. Oh, that's so good. But like you said, some of the
all the boys.
oh yeah, you say that to all the boys. Da, 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 and then it kicks in. I have a friend. I don't know if I have a good friend that we were in the military together, and his name is Tony Davis, electrician from Little Rock, Arkansas, and his nickname was Sexual Chocolate. And Sexual Chocolate always had a tape he put on when he had a lady over. He called it the all-nighter. Well, let me tell you something. Meatloaf Out of Hell is my all-nighter. I would play that song. I wouldn't know what time we were listening to. Is this the 5th time or 12th time we've listened to this album? Play it all night long. It was great. Just like Ric Flair would say, all night long. So, great album. There is some guest stars on there. Of course, you mentioned, Steinman wrote the songs, and who produced that again?
Todd Rundgren.
Todd Rundgren. Thank you. We've got the great Yankee Phil Rizzuto doing the play-by-play call as the guy's rounding the bases, and it's going to be a close one at home. Look out. And oh my gosh, that's fantastic. A lot of the E Street Band played on this album. Roy Bittan, one of the greatest piano players ever, he was on this. Max Weinberg played drums on some of the tracks from the E Street Band. Ellen Foley sang the Stop Right There, but she couldn't go on tour because she was on Night Court. She was on the first couple of years of Night Court, so they got Carlo DeVita to do the videos, and she went on tour on the tour. And also Edgar Winter played on the album on All Revved Up with No Place to Go. That's him on the saxophone at the beginning of that song. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on my 3rd favorite all-nighter song, Bat Out of Hell. That's a great one.
Couple more things. Ellen Foley is from Florissant. Yep. And those of you who are from this area, hello, Bing Bong.
Hey, Bing Bong.
Those of you who are from this area who know about the cave house in Festus,
Yes.
that used to be a skating rink in this cave. Meatloaf actually did a concert there.
I did not know Meatloaf was there. I'll be darned.
So I got to shut this, otherwise he'll start getting into the blinds. Now my top 3 were kind of interchangeable depending on my mood. One of these is going to be my favorite, but number 3 I have Live Throwing Copper. Probably the album that means more to me than anything else. It came out in 1994, and at the time I was going through a divorce. I was going through the end of a very tumultuous relationship. I was getting out of the ministry, and so many of these songs really spoke to a lot of the places that I was at, specifically Selling the Drama, which is, I think, one of the most thoughtful songs that Live has ever done. But Lightning Crashes is on that album. I Alone is on that album. Um, Shit Town's on that album. Just every song is great. And then the last song of the album is called Horse, which is actually a country song. It was the first time I've ever heard an alternative band just completely say, now we're doing a country song. It's got probably my favorite album cover ever with the beautiful painting, and I can't remember the artist, but um, it was kind of a strange thing because they put out their first album in 91 and it sold okay. They were on MTV and stuff like that. They put out this album in 94. It took it a full year from the time it was released to hit #1 on the album charts. So it had this slow progression of popularity. And then after that, they could never duplicate that kind of success. Usually, a group that has been, and they were playing since junior high together, your first album is usually your best because you've got all these years of ideas and songs that you've written and you put them all on one album. And it's like the second album is like, okay, what do we do now? So you start writing songs quickly and stuff like that. Live, kind of, the first album is okay. And somehow the second album was just fantastic. And you thought, oh, this is going to be a super group. And then they just kind of fell off the face of the earth. But love that album. Got me through a really rough time in my life, and it's always going to have a special place.
I understand completely. Number two is like that for me, Vince. Joshua Tree, U2, March of '87 came out. I bought it probably the beginning of April, went in the boot camp probably the third week of April of that year. And all the success with 2 Grammys, 25 million copies sold, the #1 album. They were on the front of Time magazine. And it was kind of like my little group now was the world's group. And, you always think, hey, that's my guys. Those are my guys. But every song on that is fantastic. I mean, you start out right out of the get is Streets with No Names. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Let's see. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I got all the names here and I wrote so small. With or Without You, which had that eerie sound. There was nothing like it on the radio. I mean, they didn't know it was going to be this big a hit, but I just fell in love and I'd listened to it over and over. And I tell you what, I was in like a loop of listening to that album for about 6 years. I've probably listened to this album more than any album there is. And I absolutely love it. There's something in there for me, and I got so much out of it. One Tree Hill's a very sad song, and Red Hill Mining Town about a town that once was very prosperous, and now it's just kind of just a marker there of what once was. And it's kind of a lot about America and looking at America at the time from the outside, and and just I don't know. The lyrics really spoke to me, and I thought the music was fantastic. I saw them do the Joshua Tree tour with the Pretenders, if that's a name from the past right there. And it was an absolutely great show. And Bono had the crowd in the palm of his hand, and that was a money well spent. So number two, Joshua Tree.
Well, my #2, I will say, is one of the few country music albums that's kind of a concept album.
Oh,
I'm 9, 10 years old, and I'm going on vacation with my dad, and sitting in the front, and he's got his tape deck going, and he's playing this terrible, terrible music. And then I kind of started to like it. It's Willie Nelson, the Redheaded Stranger. The the story that and it's about a redheaded stranger. The story that he tells of this guy, and how he devolves from being a preacher and his wife passing away, and then him kind of sinking into what do I do now? And it's an old fashioned, it's a Western, and how he tries to kind of get out of that depression and funk, and he kills a lady, and so he's just kind of like,
wow.
it's very dark, but I do like the Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. Very simple song, beautiful song. And I every time I listen to it, I
That's
kind of get
that's
a
a
little
great song.
teary-eyed,
I agree. I
And
agree.
um, uh, can I sleep in your arms tonight? Just a beautiful song. And it's just, it almost sounds like it's something that would have been recorded in the 1800s. And he brought it and he recorded, I think, in 75 or so. And that's the album that kind of put Willie Nelson on the map. So love The Redheaded Stranger.
I'm going to pay more attention to that, Vince. I've always heard of that album, but I don't think I've listened from front to back. So that's going to be one of my goals coming up to listen to that
Yeah,
whole album.
listen to it front to back. The lyrics, it tells a beautiful story, and there's some darkness in it that yeah, gosh, I didn't realize that this was so gloomy, but it is. It's a Western that's basically an album. It's just beautiful.
Well, Vince, we've come to number one now, our all-time favorite albums. This won't surprise anybody. Anybody knows me knows I love the Beatles. My all-time favorite album is Abbey Road by the Beatles, 1969. This was at a point where
I
they
did
were
have them as an honorable mention. I
an
did have
honorable
Abbey
mention.
Road as an honorable
Well,
mention. Yeah.
Abbey Road, I was always a Beatles fan and I would hear the hits and just love them. My grandparents always would get me something practical for my birthday, underwear or some shirts or pants or something. But they bought me the Beatles two greatest hits albums because they knew I loved the Beatles so much. And Abbey Road to me is it's the last album they made, but it's not the last album they released. They actually did Let It Be before Abbey Road, but they released it after Abbey Road. But Abbey Road, I think, was when they just said, "Hey, let's go out and make one more album and do it the way we can do it." Every one of the four of them wrote songs on this album. They all contributed in many different ways. George wrote maybe the two most iconic songs on the album, "Something" and "Here Comes the Sun," which are two of the all time greats. And Frank Sinatra said that's just one of his all-time favorite songs. Something, "Come Together," a John song with the. Some people say he stole that from Chuck Berry, but the first two lines are exactly from a Chuck Berry song. But when Paul heard it, he goes, "Hey, wait a minute, that sounds too much like Chuck." So from then on, they changed the music completely. It doesn't sound anything like Chuck's. And the rest of the song's completely different. But the first two lines are actually in a Chuck Berry song, but he didn't get any trouble for that. So John wrote that. Maxwell Silverhammer is kind of a fun song. It's nice departure. "Oh Darling," it sounds like an old 50s song, and Paul just magnificent. Ringo's piece in this is "Octopus Garden," which I like. My son, when he played Brody, my other son is a drummer, but Brody's not a drummer, but he likes to play "Octopus Garden" on the drums. "I Want You" is a rocker, and that ends the first side. And on the second side, we come in with "Here Comes the Sun," and then basically we're going to get the Beatles medley. Three parts harmony. And I tell you what, the Beatles had as good as harmony as the Bee Gees, the Everly Brothers, and the Beach Boys. Up there, all time great harmonies. "Because" and "Sun King," fantastic. And it's nice. It's sort of uh, it kind of hurts knowing that this is the last thing they did, but it's so good and so joyful. And the last line in it is, "The love you take is equal to the love you make." And that's a nice sentiment. And you think they're going to leave you with that, which is beautiful. And there's like 30 seconds of silence. And then there's this funny little song called "Her Majesty" at the end that's only 28 seconds long. And it's just a zany song about their affection for the queen, looking at her like somebody they might like to date. And it's really a cute little ending just when they have you with that beautiful piece at the end. And this album makes me cry, makes me rock, it makes me happy, and it's just my all-time favorite album, Abbey Road by the Beatles.
Okay, I cheated because I could not decide which one. So these are both number ones.
Okay.
Um, Pink Floyd, "Wish You Were Here." Um, I, of course, when you listen to music, you can interpret it in any way, but I always pictured it as kind of like you have this industrial setting, and out of it comes this musical genius. And Shine On You Crazy Diamond and all that stuff. Um, and then gets to Wish You Were Here, which will make you want to hug your kids every time you hear it, you know. But I did not realize until I was an adult that that's kind of about Sid Barrett. He, for those of you who don't know, he was the original lead singer of Pink Floyd when they were more of a psychedelic band, and he had mental issues, and they eventually had to oust him out of the band. So the album came out after Dark Side of the Moon, which really put them on the map, which was post Sid Barrett. So Wish You Were Here was kind of like their tribute. Wish you could still be with us enjoying this. And Sid actually went to one of the recording sessions, but nobody recognized him because he put on weight, hair was gone, and everything else. And they didn't realize till after he left that that was Sid actually there listening to us do the sessions, do some of the recordings for Wish You Were Here. Um, and Welcome to the Machine. Just it's just a wonderful album. Have a Cigar. That's awesome too. My second one, my second number one is Stone Temple Pilots' Tiny Music from the Vatican Gift Shop.
Okay.
And for those who know me, my favorite bands of all time all come from the 90s. It's Soundgarden, it's Live, and it's Stone Temple Pilots. And it's not Nirvana. They're not there. I do like Nirvana, no issue with them. It's not Pearl Jam. I like Pearl Jam, no issue with them, especially being their lead singer is a huge Cub fan. But I just love Stone Temple Pilots, who came more from California than the Seattle grunge. So they've got a little bit of a different flavor than what a lot of those groups from the 90s have. So Tiny Music. The issue with that album, the reason why it wasn't as big as the other ones is because Scott Weiland was having his drug issues and he was in jail, so they didn't tour it.
Oh,
It's from front to back, just a great album. So
all right. Very good, Vince. Very good. I hope everybody liked that. Let us know if you liked us doing the albums. Oh, very nice. Three. All right.
It's not bad. So yeah, we've gone a little long today. And for those of you who are not huge music fans, hey, we had to do something. Nothing's going on in baseball.
Yeah.
Just thought we'd do this. Yeah, that'd be fun if you have something you want to say, hey, these are my top 10, or, hey, you were stupid, why don't you have Crazy Horses by the Osmonds on here,
Oh, yeah.
Hey. So, or why don't you have William Hung on here? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Gangman style.
Yeah. So, JJ, we still have to open up these.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
What year you got?
1992 tops.
Okay, I got Fleer 92. You go first. Let's get this over with because we are really running late.
We went long, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. All right. Let me get these set up real quick here. All right, Vince. You have
two Hall of Famers.
Two Hall of Famers. I'm going 0. I'm doing Tommy Green right there of the Philadelphia Phillies. Ball in Flight. We got Luis Aquino of the Royals. I remember him.
Yeah.
There he is. All right. Brett Maine, another Kansas City Royal. We got a lot of Royals in this pack.
Yeah.
Blue skies in the background. I like that photo. Hey, a great card. I love this guy. Came up through the system. Bernard Gilkey, St. Louis Cardinals.
University City Zone.
There we go. Nice picture right there. Oh, this guy was a Cardinal, but his heyday is the Oakland A's. There's Eck.
Hall of Famer.
Oh, that's right. We got one Hall of Famer, so I'm already wrong. Oh, the big chief himself, Jesse Orosco. There he is with the Cleveland Club. All right. Ooh, Atlanta Brave, Raphael Belliard. A little guy, but man, he was a good piece of the puzzle. Let's see here. Whoop, I've almost dropped him. Oh, Los Angeles Dodger. Boo. Tim Belcher. Tim Belcher. He played for the Reds too. I remember that.
Played for the Mariners too.
Vince, I think you're right on. Here's our second Hall of Famer, Jim Tomei, with the Cleveland Club right there.
There you go.
There you go. Watching one of his home runs leave. I remember this guy. This guy was a pretty good pitcher, Neil Heaton, and there he is with the Pirates.
Yeah, pretty good.
I hadn't heard that name in years, Vince. Let's see. Oh, yes. A Canadian player, I believe, a Cardinal at the time, Riel Comier.
That's a very French name too. Yeah.
Yes. And maybe not one of the best contracts ever. Here he is with the Orioles, Glenn Davis. Big Glenn Davis.
Yeah.
Right there. So that's it. And Vince, you hit right on the right target. 2 Hall of Famers.
Okay, I'm going to say 1 in my package.
I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say 3.
Ray's first. Ray Langford.
I love Ray Langford. Nice guy.
And I love the back of the cards here. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, I like that.
For the California Angels, Luis Soho.
I remember Soho. Not a Hall of Famer.
No. Outfielder for the Astros, Eric Anthony.
Yes. Had a nice little career.
Shortstop for the Astros, and I think he played for the Cubs towards the end of his career, Andujar Cedeno.
Okay.
Former Cardinal, Royce Clayton.
Royce Clayton. Yes. The only one that sent Jack Buck a Christmas card.
Brewer, Jim Gantner.
Yeah, gritty player. Got the most out of his ability.
For the Pirates, Orlando Merced. I think he finished his career playing a little bit for the Cubs.
Okay.
Pascual Perez's brother, Melito Perez.
Melito Perez. Had a nice time in his career. Nice years.
Very good second baseman. Not really known for his defense, but fast guy for the Phillies and Dodgers, Juan Samuel.
Yeah, still a lot of bases.
Wait a minute. I think it was he with the Mets or the Phillies?
Phillies, I believe.
Phillies. Yeah, Phillies. There we go. I remember this guy, infielder for the Reds, Luis Quinones.
Yes. I don't know much about him, but yeah, I remember the name.
Guy had so many problems. A lot of talent in that left arm. A lot of waste there. Steve Howe, the late Steve.
Oh, yes. I forgot about him.
Another guy from Peoria, former Royal, Kevin Seitzer.
Oh, nice career, too.
Oh, and here's a guy who drinks too much. Lenny Dykstra.
Oh, Lenny. Yeah. Got some car washes.
Yeah. Carlos Martinez from the formerly Indians.
Yeah.
The manager for the Washington Nationals, Dave Martinez.
Well, he's done a good job there. We got a world title.
League leaders, Jose Canseco, the home run king of 91. And top prospects, shortstop for the Angels? Yeah, for the Angels, Gary DiSarcina. So
no Hall of Famers.
no Hall of Famers, but
nah. All right.
Well, JJ, I better let you go before Ding Dong here destroys my house. So,
yes, sir.
All right. Well, everybody, we will see you next week, okay?
Take care.